So before we move on to the rest of the video, I just want to let you know that I'm working on a very exciting project that will help many violinists master their technique and play all the pieces they love confidently and effortlessly in as little as 6 weeks. That's a system that I've been using in my own school in Tokyo, Japan for almost 7 years, helping hundreds of violinists of all levels and all ages become the best violinists they can be. So if you're interested, then stick around because I'll be announcing this program officially very soon. Now, onto the video. Now, one of the most important things that you can do with your practice is learning how to keep track of it productively. Just like with your workouts, if you're going to the gym and you want to keep good track of your workouts, you want to do the same thing with your practice sessions. Like this, you're not coming every day and just doing the same thing over and over again and just turning around the same point without making any progress. You want to make sure that every time that you come in contact with your violin, you're moving towards your goal, your ultimate goal of not only playing your pieces, but also understanding violin playing as a whole. And the best way to do that is, of course, writing everything down. In previous parts of this module, I've talked about how to build a good practice routine. And in that part, I also talked about actually being able to defragment every piece that you're working on to work on the smaller parts and actually understand the piece as a whole. Once you reintegrate it all back together, it's like reverse engineering, if you will. If you want to understand how a watch works, then one of the best ways to do that is by actually taking it apart, inspecting all the components, and then putting it all back together again. That gives you another dimension of understanding of what the watch actually is. And for your pieces, the same thing happens. And so you want to be very meticulous when it comes to keeping track of what you're practicing so that you don't lose that momentum. And so my personal suggestion, something that I actually apply for my own practice as well as for my students' practice sessions, is keeping a little practice journal. In it, you're going to write not only the things that you've achieved today during your practice session. I worked on this line and I worked on these many bars of my piece and I played the scale at this speed or that speed on the metronome, but also plan your next practice session. I'm going to work on the next line at this tempo and I'm going to focus on my bow articulation and my finger speed, for example. When you write things down and keep a very clear idea of not only what you've done, but what your goals are and the next steps that you need to take, everything becomes a lot clearer. So even though sometimes playing the violin or practicing the violin at home alone in your room can feel a little bit lonely, doing it like this can give you a very clear direction and a very good guidance that can always be very beneficial. So do yourself a favor and get a practice journal. And if you'd like to download our template, if you're following me on school, then you can go ahead and get it from the download section in the classroom tab. But even if you've been practicing for hours and days and weeks and you've been making some very good progress, maybe you've come across a particular part on your piece that you don't know how to overcome. If that's the case, well, you're not alone, I'm here. And if you're following me on school, I'll be able to answer any questions you can have. And you can also book your lessons with me as well. But even more than that, there's an entire community full of people just like you who've gone through many of the same struggles, many of the same parts of your journey, and have gone through many of the same wins as you. And you can share all that with them as well. So don't forget to follow us in school by clicking the link in the description down below. So if you've been able to follow along and take advantage of all the information we've shared in this course, that will hopefully allow you to take your violin playing to the next level. Not only by being able to play the pieces that we've shared in the course, but also by understanding that if you follow the right steps, using your bow properly, developing proper left-hand technique, developing proper bow technique, you'll be able to overcome most of the obstacles that you'll find in your way, particularly during those early stages of violin playing. Now remember, this is module 6 of our beginner violin course, but there are others, including a bonus module where I'll be regularly sharing new tips and tricks that will help you with your violin playing, and that's accessible through our community on school. So if you're interested, feel free to click the links in the description down below and join us over there. In the meantime, take care and I'll see you next time.